Now, for some live analysis on the matter, we're joined by Sreeram Chaulia, Professor and Dean of Jindal School of International Affairs. Now, Mr. Chaulia, so this rhetoric coming out of India, how is it justified considering the Indian coast is hundreds of kilometers away from the South China Sea?
Well, it's true, but, these days Indian interests are not confined by geography. If you look at the way India is trying to secure oil and gas supplies, it's quite global. And South China Sea, off the coast of Vietnam, India's state-owned company has invested over $200 million already for exploration. So I think, it's seen as a belated but necessary move by the Indian military to be able to say that if our interests are now so widespread, then we will also need to show our capabilities to defend our interests come what may. And of course, the situation in South China Sea has been deteriorating in terms of security and high level of competition and bickering between some ASEAN countries and China. And since Vietnam is one of the contenders for these disputed territories, and India has a relationship with Vietnam that's expanding, we have to look at this whole, build-up, or at least the verbal statements in this context. I'd also like to add that we are now looking at a situation where the border dispute between China and India, the territorial land border dispute, looks like it is inching forward slowly but surely towards some kind of positive closure and settlement, while on the other hand, on the naval and the marine terrains, we are now seeing possibly so it looks like the conflict is being remolded and reshaped, the competition between Asia's two major powers moving away from land-based to a waterborne format.
I want to talk about those interests that you talked about from Delhi's side. In what way exactly is China accused of damaging Delhi's economic interests?
Well, it's because there have been some so-called confrontations between Indian vessels and the Chinese Navy in the past. And there have also been verbal exchanges about China asking India to stay away from the disputed territories which it claims in entirety and the disputed waters. So, and India has firmly resisted that by saying that it recognizes the free movement of the sea lanes. So, to an extent, there has been a verbal exchange that borders on being confrontational. And I think the Indians are trying to,
Are India's naval forces strong enough to challenge Beijing's military might there?
Oh, no, not at all. I think the Indian naval chief's statement is more about enhancing our capabilities. And he's saying, basically it's saying that we're trying to be more prepared. Certainly the Eastern Command of the Indian Navy is no match to the People's Liberation Army Navy in size and in capabilities. In fact, India's investment in the Navy again pales before Chinese military modernization. So there is no comparison. I mean, it's an asymmetric thing still. But if you think about the Southeast Asian nations that are already having their own smaller navies there, and then the Indians also coming, perhaps we could attain some kind of rough balance of power, which may not be a bad idea in the long run. It may enable free movement of commerce and keep the sea lanes open.
We're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you very much, Sreeram Chaulia, Professor and Dean of Jindal School of International Affairs.